Okay, I had to consent to be recorded. Guys, gals, and in between pals, welcome back to Resistance Radio, the only political show that is bringing you actual boots on the ground voices from within the resistance. As always, my name is Dane Snedden. I am one of your co hosts, and I am joined by our wunkle, James Harris,
That's me, allegedly.
and the Chaos Queen herself, Emma Embers.
What's up, bitches?
And we have a nice little short digestible news reaction episode for you today. I'm going to be reacting to a couple of different clips, local and nationally based, but first I think James has something he has to say.
If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that's a blow made.
People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing.
Stand up and take on the greed and corruption of the ruling class of this country.
The billionaire class has been taking everything, and the working class has been left scraping, paycheck to paycheck, just trying to survive.
The police department, the FBI, the CIA, those are gangs. You know what I mean? The correctional office. America is the biggest gang in the world.
A solidarity which fears not foreign invasion, because it is bringing all the workers to the point when they will say to their masters, go and do your own killing. We have done it long enough for you.
It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Yes, I realize we are still a very, very small podcast, but we are growing. Like, our views are up lately. There are people tuning in to watch our shorts, but I wanted to just take a moment to express some sincere thanks to a lot of people. Because once a couple people watched, there have been a lot of offers to help us with things. Pete the Noob, who let us use his studio, which has raised our production quality immensely. We have wonderful people like Sly, who has designed our new graphic. Is there anybody I'm forgetting?
I mean,
There are
everybody that's just contributing to the Resistance Radio industrial complex at this point. We're getting a lot of people, reposting our stuff, liking our stuff. I know that it sounds trivial and we hear it all the time, like, subscribe, all of that, but it truly does mean a lot. And so I appreciate all the support as well.
Yeah, we really appreciate the support. This is just something we all do because we love it. Like, we are a long, long way from making any money off this show, and even if we do, the first thing we need to do is get some better equipment, like, so we're not wearing gamer headsets.
Yes.
So I have more pixels on my webcam. But in addition to the people that have been so kind and thoughtful, there have been some people who have decided to unintentionally help us as well. Now, what does
Yeah,
this
buddy.
say? Well, I wish we could go truly next level and react to our own content, but we are not there yet. This is a short clip of Emma. How do you say his last name?
John Plagman.
John Plagman. And I would play this clip for you, but I won't. It's nothing particularly interesting. Emma says, "Fuck Ronald Reagan and fuck Gavin Newsom for liking Ronald Reagan." And then we bag on Ronald Reagan for a while, right? But Badger State Resistance clipped this so we wouldn't get any views on it and reposted it. And let's see if I can do this properly. If you look at these comments, there's some really, really interesting things here. 6.6K views, and they clipped it themselves just to make sure that we would not get any traffic from it. John Plagman, it's a sweat hoodie, not a t-shirt. This is the trashy journalism. Thanks for sharing. I don't see what was so bad about anything he says. Every time Democrats don't get their way, they get dangerous. We said nothing of the type.
Also, like, saying John Wilkes Booth is a Democrat? Like, this goes back to that you hear all the time, like, Republicans will be like, "The Democrats are the party of the KKK," but they fail to realize that Democrats at that time were conservative, and if you wanna actually look at things, you need to look at who was conservative and who was progressive, right? Because the progressives were not KKK. It was the conservatives that were KKK. And so it's just the typical bullshit.
Well, but also just because it happened 100 years ago that way doesn't mean that nothing that you're doing now matters. And what they're doing now is so far removed from the Republicans of 1860 that, ironically, that like there's no point in even using it as like a shield or anything like that. Yeah, Democrats came up with eugenics. Not true, but sure. Let's just say that's true. That doesn't mean that you get to play with eugenics right now. Like, it's a stupid fucking.
Right.
Look, what's
Uh,
this called? The Four Pedophiles podcast. We're not the
Okay,
ones
to
desperately
be
trying to
honest
cover up
with you,
Epstein
I
files.
have to admit
And look,
that one was a pretty good roast.
what?
pretty good roast,
How?
fine. But no, look, this person is talking to Emma. Post a picture of me for absolutely no fucking reason. I wasn't even engaged in this conversation.
But you look like a pedophile, apparently.
Apparently. There were a bunch of deleted comments in here. There were a whole bunch of people telling Emma that she needed to lose weight and go to the gym. Emma weighs
I'm not even
95.
fat.
Yeah, Emma weighs 95 pounds soaking wet. I am the fat man on the podcast. Like, if you're going to give an insult, at least do it properly. But look, are you offended and defending Gavin Newsom or Ronald Reagan? They are similar. Like,
Okay,
there is not a single critique of anything we actually
Democrats,
said.
that's a classic.
there's one in there where they
Democrats,
literally
but-
say that we're fans of Gavin Newsom, and I was like, did you literally not even watch 5 seconds of that clip?
Right.
Not one single critique of anything that we actually said. Some propaganda posts, some fucking pointless insults based on our appearance or how we present ourselves. But we have State Representative Ryan Clancy, who was unaware of the podcast until now, will be tuning in, and is interested.
Ryan, if
in
you're
schedule-
watching this, we'd love to have you on.
So I
Oh,
just
yeah,
like
we
to
would.
give
He's on my mood board.
and Badger State Resistance posting this just coincided with all our views jumping quite a bit. So
Yeah,
thank you,
no.
Badger State Resistance.
Not only views, but
We-
subscribers jumped by almost 20 in the last 2 days since BSR posted that. So,
we appreciate
BSR.
our hate. We appreciate our hate watchers. Keep doing it.
yep.
Yes.
Hate watch me
But-
more, Daddy.
So, for our second clip that we're going to be looking at today, in the great state of Wisconsin that we all reside in, down south near West Bend, which is kind of close to the Milwaukee, Madison area if you're out of state, there is a lot of drama over what you could see on the screen just there. They want to name a highway after the podcaster Charlie Kirk. And apparently shit gets a little spicy at their little Alder County Board, whatever you want to call it, meeting. And this is just a little coverage of that. I haven't watched it. I just read the article.
One more time and out you go. I ain't screwing around.
Washington County Board supervisors got
He's
into
not screwing
yelling
around.
matches with hundreds of community members. They
I'm down, sir.
Alright.
There's a lot of divorced women in that audience.
I don't know what side that man is on, but he sounds like an asshole.
Yeah.
He might be ours, but still a dick. But I
Yep.
do love these what is she proposing other street names? Racist Road,
Racist
Bigot
Road.
Boulevard, Violence Avenue, Misogyny Lane, Epstein Circle.
I think Epstein
that-
Circle's my favorite.
Isn't that
me
the
too.
street that the White House is on?
Oh,
I thought
yeah.
that's where Tony Weed lived, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, two streets
Epstein
can have the
endorsed
same
Tony
name.
Weed, as we say.
Yeah.
showed up to tonight's executive committee meeting. It was about renaming a road to honor the conservative political activist Charlie Kirk. Washington County reporter Marcus Arsvold listened to Paul, Linda.
Podcaster.
Yeah.
You keep
We are
using that A
podcasters.
word. I don't think you know what that means. I mean, I guess you could classify him as an activist, I suppose, but podcaster was a better, more accurate title.
If any of us go before our time, there better be protests and big screaming matches over renaming something really stupid in my honor.
And if anybody
But
makes a joke
I-
about me being dead, they better raise a whole stink and get that person fired.
I demand the James Harris Memorial Landfill.
Would
And
they
Ken-
rename Lake Park after me? Probably not. But I do quite like that park.
The Chaos Park.
Yeah.
Goblin Park.
Yeah, Goblin Park. There you go.
As they shared their thoughts on Highway K being renamed Charlie J. Kirk Way.
Yeah, if we have more outbursts, we will clear the room.
Tensions turned into yelling at a Washington County meeting where the executive committee passed a proposal to rename Highway K to Charlie Kirk Way.
I heard on Channel 4 last night that they want to rename the highway. That's the first I heard of it.
Hundreds crammed into the packed committee session holding signs up with words like "fix potholes, don't honor white Christian nationalists."
And spending an extra $50,000 on some signs seemed exorbitant.
Some say it's about the money, others say it's about Kirk's views.
I believe that his comments really divide our country, don't support what I believe in.
And some would
I think we've said this before, but it was on one of our old episodes that had like 2 views. Charlie Kirk was a sneaky, sneaky motherfucker. Because he would say something, and there would be a little clip in there that would just sound completely outrageous. Something like, the Civil Rights Bill was a mistake, or I don't believe in empathy. But then, you listen to the whole clip, and he surrounds it with a whole lot of reasonable sounding language, so that way all of Charlie Kirk's fans can just play it and say, no, you're taking him out of context. But when you really study the context, the clip is just as bad as it seems from first impression, but you really, really need to analyze stuff to understand that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just think that it's wild that, like, this town doesn't have, like, a Martin Luther King street, but then they want to have, like, a Charlie Kirk one. Like, if that doesn't tell you where their priorities are, I don't know what will. Because, like, I would maybe understand a little bit more, and, like, you know, if they had, like, an MLK Drive or something like that, and then they were like, oh, you know, Charlie Kirk, he's still just a fucking podcaster. But no, they were like, fuck MLK, fuck, you know, like, all of the actual, you know, people that contributed to U.S. society. We're gonna put a podcaster on our highway.
I would like to point out that we do live in a universe that has the Trump Kennedy Memorial Center.
Yep.
Memorial Center. That means the person it's named after is dead. So, there is a alternate timeline out there that the world is a slightly better place.
prefer to see the honor go to someone local.
I don't think we should name a road after somebody that's just a podcaster with far right views, I guess. Could be far left views too. It doesn't make any difference to me. Either way, I would be opposed to it.
District 3 Supervisor Dennis Kelly
And
bought
Brandt over
into
here
it
with
verbally
the wisdom.
crowd, saying it was a public meeting but not a public hearing, and that he supported the rename but not the use of tax dollars.
This is what it's going to be. I will vote yes to Charlie Kirk.
All right. I knew that guy was an asshole.
Yeah.
And here's the proof.
Kirk Way, if that's the will of the committee to pass this to the board.
The committee voted unanimously to pass the proposal along to the full county board without any recommendation, meaning the 21-person board will make the final call and could do so at the next meeting on April 21st.
Now, whether we name this road Charlie Kirk Way or not, I think the fact that this many people were willing to take the time to write an email or to make a phone call or to come here and park all the way up the street and walk in here, I think that's a positive thing.
No community members at the meeting appeared to support the name change in West Bend. Marcus Arsvold, TMJ4 News.
What are we fucking doing, man?
Did you catch when he was like, if the committee wants to do this, not if the people want it. He said if the committee wants to name it Charlie J. Kirk Highway or whatever the hell they're naming it. Just not surprised, unfortunately, and Wisconsin can do better.
It
What the
honestly
fuck?
can.
Your job as an alder, your job is a public servant. Not a single community member. They said at the end that not a single community member came in favor of the proposal, but they pushed it through unanimously. Like, who the fuck is behind this? Why?
Yep.
Like, it gives similar vibes to, like, this Palantir age verification crap that, 3 months ago nobody was talking about it, and then all of a sudden all these different states pass these bills out of nowhere at almost the exact same time that want to send your data to fucking Peter Thiel when you just want to use your computer. Like, somebody is specifically behind this with a purpose, and I guarantee you there is probably a shitload of other attempts to name shit after Charlie Kirk that are going on in other places at almost the exact same time. This is just the one we know about because we live here.
I don't have any evidence, obviously, but honestly, it doesn't seem that surprising to say that it's probably that TPUSA was like, here you go, like we'll find some way where we pay for it or whatever. Oh good, it's my turn.
Sorry, I just had a repulsive feeling just came over my body. I'm sorry.
And for our, what is this, our third clip now?
Yes.
We have so multiple people have been asking me to get a little bit more messy with some more local personalities, and one of them was Joe Gigante, aka the Regular Joe Show, who I have in the past described as a Gigante douchebag. And you'll get a little sense of that in this clip, but go ahead and roll it, James.
I will say that I have never listened to this motherfucker in my life, and I haven't watched this clip ahead of time, so I have no idea what we're getting into.
Well, strap in,
The
bitches.
reason that we have naturalized radical Islamic Mohammedans attacking us is because they have taken advantage of our generosity and our kindness, and they did it.
All right, so that first part I wanted to get in before I said anything here. But first of all, the word choice of Mohammedans, like Timu Ben Franklin over here, is talking like it's 1750 again. Because that literally Thomas Jefferson was the last person who called them Mohammedans. Like, what are we, maybe in like the fucking 40s or something. But, and also, they're coming for our generosity and stuff. I grew up around a lot of Mohammedans. And it's a really interesting fact that they're actually pretty fucking generous. So, like, I don't know what that's all about, but I guess we'll find out.
I'm gonna devil's advocate and say that he's technically correct, Emma, because we have been very extremely generous with the explosives we donate to girls' schools in the Middle East.
That is very true. Like, honestly, we've done a lot for them, and they should be a lot more grateful. Also, quick
I
other
mean, we're
point.
bringing them democracy, right? Like, come on.
Yeah. How many conservatives, like John Hagee's on this list, Joe Gigante's on this list, like they talk about jihad so much like it's the biggest threat, but the only jihad that they have to worry about is the jihad diabetes is engaging in with them. Like, have you seen how he has to fight for every fucking breath? Like, brother, it's not Islam that's your problem. It's fucking diabetes. Like, what are we doing here?
We're terrified of jihad while we're literally engaged in a holy war in Iran right now.
Yeah, literally.
Not even
but yeah, it's the
figuratively.
Mohammedans that are starting the problem.
Keg breath. What?
Keg Seth?
Didn't he gave a speech about how it's starting Armageddon? Like,
at this point, God, I hope so.
Knowingly, because they look at us and they look at the system and they game the system. Again, I don't want to remove the generosity.
Really? They're the ones that game the system when President Donald fucking Trump only does shit on Friday afternoons after stock market close.
Yeah, as opposed to Donald Trump, who is literally wrote the book on gaming the system. Like, what?
He literally has a book called The Art of the Deal. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just crazy because it's like, where do they think that, like, you know, the billionaire, like, Somali refugees are in this country? Like, it's just so, like, devoid of any actual material analysis, and, like, open your eyes and go outside, subpar Joe, because I think the world isn't what you think it is.
Yeah, I had this argument a lot with my conservative dad where like he would buy into the Fox News stuff about how like college is radicalizing everybody. And meanwhile, I would just pop in and be like, fucking life radicalized me. It wasn't college. Like I
Right.
spent most of my life out of college. And during that time, I was still radicalized because it's life experiences that radicalize people the most. And
I
these
think
people don't have fucking life experiences, at least not the same as the rest of us.
if you'll notice, he's very, very vague about his accusations, and there's a good reason for that. I noticed this during the Trump-Joe Biden debate. They're eating the dogs. Dan, what's your impression? I can't do it.
They're eating the dogs.
Exactly. And I thought, okay, this guy is fucked. That is the stupidest shit I have ever seen in my life, and
Yep.
not a goddamn person is going to vote for him.
I felt
right?
the same way.
But then I talked to some more conservative-leaning people. I tune into conservative media a little bit, and I see that people are applying this. They're like, no, I know people that this happened to. It's people that are basically assuming, no, my cat went missing. It must have been my Somali neighbors. Like, because the accusation is vague and ridiculous enough, people can apply it to their own life circumstances. And you kind of create a believable lie out of nothing, but only if you've already bought into the original premise. To everybody else, it looks stupid, which divides us because now we can't even talk about it. It's
Yeah,
either
that's
the
a pretty
dumbest.
basic. Yeah, that's a pretty basic element of of effective propaganda. Is you have to leave it vague enough that people can fill in the blanks.
Right. That it
And
applies
that's
to
kind of
everybody.
yeah, and that's kind of what they're doing. So it's very effective propaganda for the people that they're trying to propagandize, which in this case is far right viewers of Gigante douchebag. But you know, it works if you do it right.
Care, but if we don't have standards, if we're not willing to set a bar that says, no, you can't come here, then why even have borders in the first place? Did we
Slippery
learn
slope fallacy.
nothing on September
borders,
11th, 2001? It's a damn good question given who the mayor of New York is.
Yeah.
Okay. No, wait a second. If you are going to appeal to 9/11 like that, at least be aware of why that happened. They did 9/11 because, right? And this is not me at all defending or saying that I agree with this. Osama bin Laden was against US interference and was against US imperialism. That is a direct cause of Al Qaeda, of the Taliban.
Well,
So it's
again,
actually a lot more basic than that because really 9/11 happened because the CIA, the FBI, and all our various intelligence agencies weren't properly coordinating. And so they got so many reports like a year in advance. This is all in the 9/11 Commission report. None of this is conspiracy theory. They had at least a year's warning that something like that was going to happen that got progressively more specific the closer it got to the event. But because they weren't coordinating on their work, they couldn't get an appropriate response to that in time, and then it happened. There's no like, all the George Bush did 9/11 stuff, like melting steel beams, no, it was literally just a fuck up by the intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies and them not coordinating properly. Again, it's in the 9/11 Commission report. If they had actually done their jobs and stopped that from even happening, it wouldn't have even been an issue. But yes, blowback is another part of it because the attack happened in the first place because of those kinds of elements. I just think, to me, the government incompetence angle is just stupid.
And it was a direct response to our own actions, as we've talked about numerous times on this show, right? There is literally a short of me saying the US digs a hole, jumps in it, and then asks why they're in the hole. Like 9/11 is a perfect example of that. And look what he's teeing up to say. Who he's about to talk
Before
about.
we get there, though, I'd like to again argue that he is technically correct. One of the primary motivators for 9/11 was that bin Laden was furious with the United States and Western allies meddling in Arab lands, aka, we did not respect their borders. They did not have strong enough borders to keep us out. If they had stronger borders and kept us out, bin Laden would have never gotten pissed off enough to do that. So, technically the truth in the worst possible way. But yes, as Dan was saying, look who they're teeing up to talk about.
Is right now. People are all upset. He was doing Islamic prayer in the office of the... What did you expect? Honestly, what did you think you were getting?
Technically the truth. We voted for a Muslim socialist from Africa. I say we, but the people of New York City voted for a Muslim socialist from Africa. That's what they got. Good for them.
Also, it's what they always wanted Obama to be. So, they finally have their actual Muslim socialist from Africa.
And it's being very myopic to just say that, he was engaging in Muslim prayer when, he was also, going to Shabbat houses and going to synagogues and all of,
That's not even weird. Every president almost, except probably Trump, you see pictures of Obama at Muslim prayer and in a synagogue and at a regular church and just visiting all these places where different faiths worship. That's just kind of what politicians do.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is. And it's the most basic stuff. And the other part of it is this kind of Islamophobia is always spread by people who have never stepped foot in a mosque. At least, and certainly haven't done it from a non-biased perspective, because when you step foot inside a mosque, it's really not that different from going to a synagogue or a church. It's just in Arabic, so if you don't know Arabic, it might be a little spooky. I don't know, maybe if you're that type of person. But for me, I don't know Arabic, and I would go with my friend all the time, and it just felt like a church service. It was structured differently, of course, but it really wasn't all the mysticism about what they do there and about oh my God, he's doing a Muslim prayer goes away the second you actually experience going to those kinds of spaces and seeing that stuff and being oh, actually, this is fine.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a person that pronounces the L in quesadilla, though, it's not really that surprising.
Yeah, that is an element of this that I did forget, so thank you.
And let's be brutally honest. There are some valid criticisms of Islam. I am an atheist.
Oh, yeah.
I'm an atheist. You read the Quran, there is some fucked up shit in there. But it's not any more fucked up than the stuff in the Bible.
Right.
The Bible has the story of Lot, who God decided was a very righteous man getting his daughters pregnant. That's just straight up in the Old Testament.
Right.
And then turned his wife into a fucking block of salt because she turned around and looked at the city he was destroying, and it was oh, well, fuck you, with the most creative punishment ever. Yeah, no, shit's weird in there sometimes.
Or when God sent bears to kill 40 kids because they made fun of somebody for being bald.
Right.
Do you ever wish you had that power, James?
I would not have a job because, I work with a lot of special needs kids, and every single one of them has felt the need to point out that I'm bald at some point.
Well, if you pray hard enough, God will summon a bunch of bears to eat those kids, so fuck them.
That's going to get taken out of context someday.
Oh, it is. It absolutely is.
Whenever you run for political office, Emma, somebody is going to bring up that.
Or BSR is going to pull it up next week and clip it, so that way we don't get the credit.
I said this is one of the importance of voting. But not just voting your emotions. Well, I like that guy. Oh, he's got a good smile. He seems nice. He wants to give me free stuff. Now, if this is how you're voting, then stop complaining. Because you are the instrument of our own demise.
Stop voting for politicians that give policies that benefit me. That's how you destroy America.
Yeah.
Also, they keep talking about free, but nobody ever says that it should be free in the sense that like somebody has to pay for it, obviously. And because it's done through the government, that means the government pays for it. How does the government pay for things? With taxes. How are taxes collected? From us. So very, very complicated system, as you can see. Joe clearly has never watched a single Schoolhouse Rock. That's fine. I get it. It's not for everyone. But for those of us that did and learned about this stuff when we were like fucking 12, that's how the system works. So if you tax, and there's also the progressive taxation system, which the way that works is you tax the people who make more than you tax the people who make less. So
that'd be nice.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where stuff like the top marginal tax rate is. So whenever somebody tells you that the top tax rate was like 90-something% in the 50s, that's true, but only over a certain amount of money, and then everything else was taxed regularly, So the way that worked was 95% of, I don't know, 500 million, whatever. That's taxes now. And then everything that they had before they got to that 500 million is taxed at the normal levels, so they still have it to do whatever they want with. You still get your fucking mega yachts and all that shit. Woohoo, you won capitalism, you're a billionaire. But we also have way more money in the tax volumes to do tax volumes. That's where taxes go. We have way more money in the tax coffers to be able to do more programs and things like that. And also, if we cut back on our ridiculous military spending, then we can get money there too. Magic how that works.
And this can't be the case. The American citizens, what we're told, you have a republic if you can keep it. I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't have the quote directly in front of me. But de Tocqueville summarized what he found, and it was like a 2-book writing that he did with this, by saying that, the greatness of America.
My mom always said, don't say bad things about somebody unless you can say nice things. And in this case, my nice thing for Joe here is going to be in the form of more advice. My advice here is you schedule the show so you can prepare your quote ahead of time. So that way when you go to read it, you can just go, here's the quote. Instead of going, oh, well, blimey, I don't have the quote in front of me right now. Whatever am I going to do? I'm not the producer of this fucking show. This isn't my show.
It doesn't have my name, image, and likeness in the logo.
Right, exactly. Like, brother, there's no excuse for this. What are you doing? I'm a better podcaster than you, and you've been doing this way longer than me.
I think it also, this is just hitting every single classic conservative talking point. They love to say that we're a republic. Like you'll be like, our democracy. They're like, we're a republic, actually. And it's like, bitch, what do you think a republic is? It's a type of democracy.
Exactly. It's kind of like how they would always, when I was a kid, they would always run around with their like pocket constitutions and shit, and they would be like real big on how they have the Constitution right there in their pocket all the time. But then you ask them something in the Constitution, and they can't tell you where the fuck it is. I had a pocket constitution, and there was a point in my life when I had that pocket constitution where I could tell you exactly where, if you were like Article 2, Section 4, I could be like, that's this part. Because I actually fucking read it and took it to heart and all that. I was a real fucking nerd when I was a kid. Sorry to admit this.
You were a kid?
At some point, yeah. I didn't come out of a cave looking like this after like being born. I actually had like a normal human existence for part of it. First 12 years-ish. But yeah,
Longer than I suspected.
Anyway, good luck, Joe. Keep doing up the good work with your not finding your quotes ahead of time.
Yeah, we've had plenty of technical interruptions during this, but we've had our clips queued up for hours at this point. So,
yeah,
technically, this is a better produced product.
Yeah, it is.
America didn't lie in our Constitution necessarily, didn't lie in our House and our Senate, didn't lie in the business institutions of the country. That the actual secret to why the United States was as great as it was, why we went through a revolution and we thrived versus the French Revolution and they self-destructed, was in the goodness of its people, specifically in the moral root of the American people.
Whoa, the moral root of slave owners? Come the fuck on, man. George Washington's teeth were not wooden, they were slave teeth. Can we just be honest about this shit now? I'm so tired of pretending that we were good at any point.
The 3/5 compromise is not an amendment. That is written into the original Constitution.
Yeah.
The French Revolution okay, was not a failure. That is arguably one of the most important events in human history, because without the French Revolution, right, there's no October Revolution with Lenin.
Yep.
There is no liberation movement that happens across Africa, right? Like, that's just, it's okay.
Hello, post-production James here. In this next segment, we are about to talk some mad shit about a conservative podcast host. I just felt the need to clarify that the shit we're talking only applies to conservative leadership and media figures. All three of us on the show are conservative at some point, so we get it. We don't think you're any of these things if you just happen to believe in conservative points. Now, your leadership, on the other hand, those people we got a pretty big fucking problem with.
Part of the problem is it's because these people, again, are deeply uneducated. They don't understand history. They don't understand science. They don't understand any of this shit. And so to them, they say that the French Revolution was a failure just because it didn't bring about their ideal form of government. But neither did we, because when you look at what they want versus what the Founding Fathers had, it's actually, they don't even want the government of the Founding Fathers. They want something worse. So that's just something that, unfortunately, when you deal with conservatives, you have to take into mind a lot. Like, they do not understand what they're talking about on a deep, fundamental level 99% of the time. Every once in a while, dumb squirrel finds a fucking nut, as Joe does every once in a while. But by and large, it's just, there's nothing going on up here. It's just like a single mossy rock that occasionally is going to bounce off the edge, but otherwise it's not going anywhere.
I'll agree and disagree. I will completely agree with you, Emma, for reactionary content that's just designed to make you angry and grab people's attentions and just cause chaos. That is 1000% true. But there is a wealth of conservative thought out there that I don't agree with any of it, but you'd be doing it a bit of an insult to say that there's no intelligence behind it, because there is some intelligence behind it. And I'm still not going to say that I agree with it, but some of their critiques, anyway, of leftist policies are worth considering. And I say that because a healthy, well thought out conservative movement is important for the functioning of a democracy. Because without different ideas pushing back at each other, you have no objective to find the truth. That is why, like, when whatever party gets in power, they proceed to do nothing and just, support the wealthy. It doesn't matter if it's D's or R's, they do the same thing, because who's going to push back on them against that? That is their only opposition at this point. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I kind of disagree with that, but in the sake of brevity and time, that's something I think
come on. We haven't debated for a while, then. Why don't you make your point quick, 30 seconds, and we'll move on.
Okay, the difference is I am fine if you have one party that is in power, because there are going to be ideological differences that do occur, right? And like a great example of that is within the Communist Party of China. They have ideological differences, they struggle through things, but they don't have a conservative wing. I don't think, at least the way that I view it, conservatism is completely antithetical to prosperity for everyone. So I don't think that there should ever really ideally be a conservative party in a democracy, because it's anti-democratic.
And in less than 30 seconds, I have a rebuttal as well, James. Leftist infighting. We don't need conservatives to help us keep our ideas from getting too far, because we'll do it to ourselves. We're most skilled at infighting and less skilled at winning. But we do what we do.
Okay, who's right? Answers in the comments.
People. He said he found the answer in our Christian churches.
Breaking news! Christian who comes to our country.
The Southern Baptists that formed a new form of Christianity just so they could make it argue for slavery better.
Hey,
Wow.
regular Joe, suck my Mohammedan.
That I've got a lot of conflicting thoughts on that one. I'm not gonna lie. We're keeping it in, but
I also have conflicting thoughts. That's why as soon as I said it, I made that shit-eating grin because I was just like, oh, I maybe should have thought that one through a little bit more. But anyway, whatever.
hate watch feeds engagement.
Yeah.
If you hated that, thank you for
I'm
your
just
service.
trying to provoke them as much as possible, if I'm being honest.
Okay, what do we have? Not that.
The harder I go after them, the harder they feel like they have to respond.
Oh yes, go after them with full hardness, Emma.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, we've got another clip. I also don't know what this is, so let's experience it.
Of this little
Just call it
discussion
diabetes
from a
round two.
point of view, again, of trying to look at the bigger picture, not just in terms of what's happening in Iran and kind of the world stage, but understanding, again, to be America first isn't to ignore the realities of the world around us. But of course,
Are you sure about that?
Are you sure about that? Where's John Cena?
Didn't we just tariff everybody for no reason? No, we tariffed everybody because the Supreme Court found the existing tariffs illegal. We've been relentlessly going after our allies. We wanted to take Greenland. I'm pretty sure Trump's teeing up to try and take Cuba next.
He is.
Like,
Also, can we talk about how they always say, look at the big picture of the whole thing? And then when he starts talking, none of what he's talking about is at all related to the big picture of the Middle East. It's all this random bullshit. Like, the big picture of Iran is we moved in there when they had a functional democracy in 1953, overthrew them because Winston Churchill literally came crying to the CIA, big tough Winston Churchill, because Iran nationalized their oil fields. Overthrew that guy and put the Shah that they already had, which is like the king for Iran, in power. He was brutal. He eventually triggered a revolution in 1979, which is when the first Ayatollah took power. Now they're talking about trying to overthrow the Ayatollah to put back in place that same guy's son. That same motherfucker's son that led to the Islamic Revolution. They want to put that guy in charge in place of the Ayatollah, and they think that that's going to work out just fine. Like, this is the big picture of Iran and the rest of the Middle East. Not whatever fucking bullshit Joe is going off on here. Like, this is just more conservative propaganda that makes people turn away from the actual facts of the issue. Kind of like how now they got them to stop talking about the Epstein files because now they're trying to defend them on Iran. Like, isn't it amazing how this works?
here's the big picture. Plain and simple. It's not even complicated. It's Donald Trump fucked over the Iranian people, but he did it in this majestic art of the deal way that also fucks over the American people.
With a lot of eagles going like, and like
yeah. And now all the mouthpieces are desperately trying to build support for it because if this goes on much longer, it's going to be a bloodbath in the midterms.
Well, and it's also a total embarrassment for Trump because, like, I saw this picture that somebody did that was amazing where it was, like, Trump getting punched in the mouth by this giant fist with the Iranian flag on it. And, like, that's really, like, we can't even find out for sure if Benjamin Netanyahu is alive right now because every video that they do as proof of life is some AI manipulated bullshit or something from a couple years ago. And with Trump, like, we're literally, there's talks now that we're having to, like, daisy chain tankers for our jets that are dropping bombs off in Iran just to keep them fueled because we now can't use anything overseas anymore that's any closer. So, like, we're getting our shit kicked in by Iran right now. And honestly, this might be the thing that gets me arrested. I don't know. But we kind of deserve to lose this one. So I'm not really that worried about it. If it looks like Iran's doing well, cool. Especially when the first move that we made was bombing a girls' school. No, sorry. I live here, but I agree that we deserve to lose this one.
if you want to be on the right side of history geopolitically, you just have to be in opposition to whatever the U.S. does.
Pretty much. And Israel as a major point.
Just as a disclaimer, this does not mean we condone the actions of the Iranian regime. They're a bunch of terrible people. But the United States managed to do it in a way that fucked over everybody. The only way you could make it worse was by doing what we did.
I mean, it's like the same shit with Hamas. Like, look at, like, yeah, you know, like, 6 figures worth of people have been killed by the Israeli government. Hamas is still around, right? Like, they're, you know, like, these people are resilient. Like, this is the shit that they have to deal with, like, every decade. So, like, they have the ability to withstand stuff like this, and then we just make them come back stronger.
Yep.
Despite having a supreme leader, Iran has spent literal decades decentralizing everything.
Yep. Again, it also goes back to the fact that conservatives just really don't understand what's happening in the world around them. They don't understand history. They don't understand science. So for them, they can't, and this goes all the way up to Trump too, they can't compute how they killed the Ayatollah and like 100 other people in high government positions. And yet the Iranian government and military are still functioning not only fine, but perfectly, and still kicking our asses and Israel's asses. So like, especially if it does come out that they did actually kill Netanyahu, like that's insane for their morale. Like that is enormous. And also, who would be mad at them? Because Netanyahu's literally a war criminal who committed a genocide, and like it should be in The Hague, where he will eventually hang for his crimes. So if he gets hit by an Iranian drone, fuck that guy. I mean, let's be honest.
With the amount of influence AIPAC has over our politics, I guarantee you, if it comes out that that Iran got Netanyahu, there would be debates in city halls all over the country within the next week between, no, we can't name this after Charlie Kirk, we have to name it after Netanyahu instead.
Oh my fucking God. I will literally line up at Popeyes to get biscuits without drinks. Like I am not playing with that fucking timeline where we have to have an argument in Green Bay about naming a city after or a street after Netanyahu. Fuck that. I'm out. I quit.
We already lit up the
Here in the-
bridge in blue and white after October 7th. So
Don't remind me.
United States, we have domestic issues. That's the proper terminology that we have to, that must be addressed, and that aren't being addressed. Now, some want to say, well, Donald Trump's not spending enough time
immigration.
on
It's going to say immigration.
Pick a topic, whether it's the economy or election integrity and everything else. But again, I remind you, Donald Trump is one man. Donald Trump is doing the job.
Donald Trump is not one man. Donald Trump is the head of a political movement that controls both houses of Congress and the Supreme Court and more than half of the state legislatures and governorships. Jesus, don't know why that was so hard. So spare me. He can literally do whatever the fuck he wants to do. However, because he has dementia and his brain is melting out of his ears and all he wants to do is his little art projects like the fucking ballroom and shit like that, he's inept and incapable of actually doing his job and rallying the party. And so half the time you have a faction of Republicans that are like, well, I'm getting out of here soon, so I don't have to please that asshole anymore, that aren't going to go along. Then you have people that are fully MAGA, and then you have people that are kind of like in between waffling, like, oh, my next election year is coming up, so I don't know what to do. And he can't, all he knows how to do is that mob boss style, like, well, you better do it, or I'm going to start, like, supporting your, like Thomas Massie. He couldn't cow Thomas Massie because all he threatened was to primary Thomas Massie, and Thomas Massie was like, fuck you, go for it. Like, I mean, he has no, he's, the Emperor with No Clothes example is really just the best one for Trump. It was very cliche his first term, but his second term, I feel like it's a lot more apt. And it's just, it's insane to me that more people don't see that. Like if Obama had this kind of control over the entire government, even at the state level, he would have gotten so much more shit done.
And let's also not forget that if one of us made the argument of like, why isn't Obama doing this? Why isn't Biden doing this? Which, by the way, we're not fans of either one of those people.
No.
But if we said Obama's just one guy, like, it's, if we said that, they would be coming at us for how ridiculous that sounds.
Of course.
Oh, weak leadership.
Oh. One could say 535 men and women. He is consistently from day one, 415 days ago, he has come out swinging. He has not pulled punches.
He doesn't spell check his auto-generated captions.
Yeah, no.
Superior product.
He has been moving his agenda forward every which way he can, and at every turn, certainly he has had the opposition of the Democrats, there's no question. And that's a pain in the Yakuhudas. I get it. It's frustrating at times. I've heard the panicins time and again.
Yakuhudas, I guarantee you that's going to be like Hebrew.
Are you sure about that? Because I followed Judaism for a decade and I never heard that shit. Took us, yes, but
okay. Y-A-K-A-H-U-D-A-S.
you can suck my Yakuhudas.
No, that's not even a fucking word.
Why am I not surprised? Jesus Christ, Joe. What are you doing, man? Don't you have a family? Shouldn't you be spending more time with them?
Yakuhudas, I get it. It's frustrating at times. I've heard the panicins time and again. Oh, he's backing away.
He's trying to make his own version of Kafefe.
He's giving up. He's forgetting us. He's filling the blanking us. The fact is,
yo, what?
I hate when I get fill in the blank.
Yeah, has there been
getting
at times when one might?
Worst.
Hey, yo, pause. He's filling the blanking us. I do not like the way that sounds.
That's a fancy new way to censor myself. I'm going to start using that.
No, fill in the blank. Like he's being intentionally vague so people can
literally fill in the blanks. Yeah.
Just absorb the conspiracy bullshit into whatever they already think. I'm losing brain cells.
They call a strategic retreat to regroup and figure out how to attack again. Yeah, but every time he's come back and he's come back stronger. So I say this first of all.
Strength and winning.
What a soy boy. He's strategically retreating, actually. Like
doing it in that voice made it so much better.
If you do realize, Regular Joe, that Donald Trump and the Republican Party have a supermajority in the federal government, if this whole shit show wasn't run by someone the size of 3 people but the brain of a 5-year-old, they could have gotten literally everything the Republicans could have ever wanted. Our only saving grace is how stupid this administration really is. That is the only thing keeping us from catastrophe.
What do I always say about Donald Trump dying? Would I be sad if it happened? Hell the fuck no. You can go ahead and clip that, BSR. It's fine. But I don't want him to die because if he dies, that means JD Vance takes over, and JD Vance is the worst possible option for our timeline because JD Vance gives them everything that they already had with Trump, but he's also actually competent and intelligent, unlike Trump. So he can actually... A lot of the things that Trump has been fucking up because he's so incompetent and stupid, JD Vance wouldn't be fucking up. So, thank your lucky stars that death has yet, for some ungodly reason, decided to claim Trump.
Look, this doesn't mean he's without fault. Doesn't mean he couldn't say or do things different or better. That's not what this is. There is no perfect candidate. There is no perfect elected official because no one's perfect. And no, at least I don't claim.
There is at least one MAGA who unsubscribed over that.
Yeah. What do you mean Donald's not perfect?
That Donald Trump is perfect.
Joe's
I do think, though, that he's doing a bang-up job.
Oh, he's doing a bang-up job, all right. Look at those gas prices. Aren't those amazing? By the way, Tom Tiffany, who's running
Isn't that
for
what
governor,
he did to the porn star while his wife was pregnant?
Heyo. Tom Tiffany, who's running for governor, posted a picture of himself with gas prices right before they jumped up thanks to Iran. And he was like, thanks, President Trump, for these low gas prices. And then fucking deleted it the next day when the gas prices shot up because of Iran. Like, brother, first of all, people saw that. Second of all, you can't just delete it once you did it. Like, that shit's still around.
I was on r/conservative, and they tried spamming this meme everywhere that was, "I avoided the 2026 gas catastrophe. I didn't purchase any fuel on Sunday, March 10th, 2026." Because there was like this brief blip when it came back down, but like 2 days later, the prices were way back up again. And now you can't find that meme anywhere on there. It just disappeared.
Speaking
Magically.
of r/conservative, does regular Joe not give off the vibe of a crusty Reddit moderator?
No, that's not. He's way too reasonable to be an r/conservative moderator.
Okay, that's fair. I'll take that one.
Hey, see, Joe, look, we're giving you a compliment.
Yeah. Also, I would not recommend, if you ever see regular Joe out on the town, sneaking
But
up
you
behind him and
won't.
saying Mohammedans, because that might give him that final heart attack that clusters up all those arteries.
Tell him the Mohammedans are coming for his Yakutas.
That's a good one.
I've got to figure out what the fuck that even means. Like, Google has nothing.
It's like, I don't know what you're talking. Are you having a stroke? Do I need to call 911?
We are about to call it a night, but we have got one more clip for you. I'm just gonna present this without commentary.
Oh God.
It's very short, so we can just save everything until the clip is entirely over, okay?
All right.
I will try to contain myself.
Japan and US are very good friends, but one question, why didn't you tell US allies in Europe and Asia, like Japan, about the war before attacking Iran? So we are very confused about we Japanese citizens.
Well, one thing, you don't want to signal too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay, why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay, right? You know, he's asking me, do you believe in surprise? I think much more so than us. And we had to surprise him, and we did. And because of that surprise, we knocked out, the first 2 days, we probably knocked out 50% of what and much more than we anticipated doing. So if I go and tell everybody about
50, 60, 70, 80%, who knows?
That is insane to say. Why didn't you tell our geopolitical ally that you were going to declare war on a country, and then saying like, I don't care. I don't care. That's literally what he said.
Well, he also said, why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Me, the literal fucking child who nobody knew had any reason to give a fuck about. And even now, still wish we didn't have to give a fuck about him. What do you mean? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Because it happened last week? What do you mean?
The man's brain is mush. And on that note, I think we call it a wrap.
Yes.
Emma, we're missing a certain something.
Oh, yeah. It actually tied into one of the clips earlier that we were talking about with Gigante, but fuck Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Fuck Ronald Reagan. And also, keep your Mohammedans locked up tight, everybody, because Joe Gigante is coming for them.
The Mohammedans want his Yakutas.
Very badly. And only Donald Trump can save his Yakutas from the Mohammedans.
I said, Joe, we know you have the best Yakutas.
That was good. That's probably your best Trump one yet.
But as always, guys, thank you again for tuning in, even you, BSR. And remember to get active, get wise, and get organized.
If you hate everything we said, please leave us a comment and tell us how stupid we are. Have a great night.
Also, stay trashy, goblins. And also, don't be an unfrosted Pop-Tart like regular Joe Joe Gigante douchebag.
Don't be an unfrosted Pop-Tart like regular Joe. Be an unfrosted Pop-Tart like Rick Crossan.
Yeah.